The Saboteur. This is one of those games I'm sure plenty of us have bought on PC, but just completely forgot about or turned it on one day, played a bit of it, said it was cool, but never touched it again. It also didn't help that when this game released in '09, it had a fair share of bug issues, and the game was heavily criticized from borrowing from the most popular games of the time, those being GTA and Assassin's Creed. It was known for its heavy emphasis on destruction, and it had this really cool noir gimmick, but despite all its pros, it couldn't hold the attention of most people. Even me. But that's all over because I finally sat down and beat the Saboteur, and I gotta say, I was sleeping on this one. Before we dive deeper into the review, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the hype button. I'm showing you where that is on the screen right now, and you have to be on mobile to see it. I'm grateful for Jehovah God and Jesus Christ for bringing each and every one of you to my channel, as I know you all could be watching anyone right now, but you all decided to watch little old me, and I know it's because of them. I hope you all enjoy this review and have a great and blessed day. Now let's get back into it. Going into the Saboteur, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting to be hit with a serious story. That's not only surprisingly well written, but it actually does a good job of showing exactly how war can have an effect on people that are suffering through it. The Nazis have taken over Paris, while our protagonist Sean Devlin is drinking his life away after losing a race against Kurt Durker, a race car driver that's aligned with the Germans until you find out that he's actually a Nazi commander unbeknownst to Sean. Kurt only won because he cheated. And of course Sean and his best friend Jules aren't going to let that slide.
It'd be a damn shame if something were to happen to Durker's car before the big shindig.
You mean some kind of freak accident? Oh, that would be terrible.
So they decided to get a little bit of payback by destroying his car, but they end up captured. Jules was tortured to death, but Sean and the rest of his crew were able to escape. These events would shape their lives forever, and Jules' death is what fueled Sean to join the French resistance, led by Luc, a writer turned freedom fighter. Sean mostly joins to let off some steam at first, but the potential of getting revenge for the death of Jules is what drives him.
There's nowhere you can run! I'll find you wherever you go!
By the name of the game alone, you can guess what the gameplay's main focus is: blowing everything up. Now, unlike other games with destruction features, which are mostly linear-based games, the Saboteur goes as far as an open-world game can push it when it comes to physics-based destruction. And when I say physics, I mean very minor physics. Cars, gas stations, buildings, and bridges are all coming down once Sean gets his hands on them. I personally never got tired of seeing things explode, and that's because the game does a good job of not running the gimmick into the ground, which sounds strange because you do a lot of blowing things up in this game. The Saboteur gives a good amount of variety alongside your main dish of devastation. Blowing things up is not only fun, but feeds into both the plot as the Saboteur and the currency system. Destruction equals money in war-torn Paris, and these funds can be used to buy weapons, cars, ammo, and upgrades. Now, what makes it so great is that all of this just feeds back into the loop of the game. You're always going to be destroying something, so you'll always have money, but the developers were smart enough to keep the game balanced. You can't just buy the best guns in the game as soon as you start. A lot of them have to be unlocked as you progress through the game. Plus, they did a great job of making sure that the prices for everything make sense. One of my biggest pet peeves with most open world games is they lack balance when it comes to their currency system. Typically, you'll hit a point where you'll have so much money and the things that you can buy cost next to nothing, you won't even make a dent in your bank account. At least in the Saboteur, they balance the game out by saying, we're going to put a ton of things around you that you can destroy. Every few feet, there's something to blow up, which means that in every few feet, you can earn some money. So they put the prices high enough where you have to engage with the rest of the game and you can't just buy the best of the best whenever you feel like it. And that feeds into the death penalty of this game because if you're not on a mission and you die, you can't reset. All you can do is reload a save or respawn, but you lose all your weapons, which means you have to buy them again or hunt them down in the world. Now, one of the biggest criticisms of the Saboteur was that it was accused of plagiarism when it comes to the overall gameplay. If you take GTA's open world formula of driving around a big city while committing crimes for different people, throw in a weird mixture of Assassin's Creed parkour system, but you make the climbing, the character movement, the gunplay all feel like Uncharted, then you blend that all up, Pandemic borrows from their own self by adding the destruction mechanics from the Mercenary series, and then you add in this cool color mechanic that I believe they took from The Blob, you know, the hit game The Blob that everyone likes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they took it from that. And you combine all of that together and you get the Saboteur. The comparisons are understandable. Well, maybe not the WWII one, I was just being funny with that one, but even if you can compare the Saboteur to other games, I think it's unfair to say that the game is automatically bad or it's stealing from others, because in the same way how you could say that this game is just like GTA or Assassin's Creed or Uncharted or whatever you want to compare it to, it's the same way how someone could say a red velvet cake and a chocolate cake is the same. We all know that red velvet cake is just chocolate cake with red dye, but for some reason that red dye makes it totally different. And the same goes for the Saboteur, because it's its own game despite all the inspirations that it pulls from other games. There is simply no other game like the Saboteur. It has a bit of everything, and in the same way that we can say GTA blends multiple genres into one, being the best jack of all trades rather than the best at any one thing, the same could be said about the Saboteur. But it does have some minor issues that I think we should discuss.
Oh, bollocks.
The driving in this game is a hit for me, and I gotta say it feels very different due to the cars all being from the 40s, with a great sense of weight to each one of them. But this game is also still inspired by the PlayStation 2 era GTA games, not GTA 4, so it has an arcadey feel with the vehicles. When the Saboteur released, GTA 4 was the brand new GTA game, and at that time a lot of people really didn't like the weighty and physics-based driving that game had, and they kind of sort of wanted the arcade feeling back. And the Saboteur, funny enough, found a happy medium to me. It doesn't have strong physics like GTA 4, but that weightiness is there while also keeping that pick up and play driving that GTA was known for, but they kind of lost a bit with GTA 4. To my surprise, there is stealth gameplay here, and it's a bit odd. Now, unlike GTA where stealth was used for like a mission or two and then forgotten, and I'm not talking about the generic level of stealth gameplay that's found in open world games where you can just kind of creep around a bit, you can completely knock out Nazis in this game and just jack their clothes, which is something that you will only see in a serious stealth game like Hitman. Now, I'm not going as far as to say that the Saboteur is low-key a stealth game, because it's not. But they did put enough effort into it to let you know that this mechanic is serious. And the one thing that lets you know that is that there's a suspicion radar that appears when you're sneaking around or acting suspicious, or even when you're wearing the enemy's clothing. You have a suspicion circle that gets bigger if you do anything but basically walk while in uniform. You also have to worry about the enemy's cone of vision, and higher ranked soldiers are harder to sneak past and have better vision than the lower ranked soldiers. Now, as much as I like sneaking around in the Saboteur, I kept running into situations where the game seemed designed to force you to stop sneaking around, especially in main missions. Now, to be fair, there are situations where it's very clear that it's time to go loud, but even during moments where contextually stealth makes the most sense, the devs put so many guards around you, it feels almost next to impossible to get past any of them. Which leads into my other flaw with the stealth, and that comes with the distractions. Explosions are the only way to distract the guards. That means there's no rock, there's no beating on the wall like Solid Snake, nothing. You have to blow something up to distract them. If you shoot a gun, they're just gonna know you shot it. So you have to set a bomb somewhere, get away from it, let it explode, and then they'll look in that direction. The issue with this is, for some reason, only maybe 1 or 2 guards will actually go investigate the explosion. The rest will notice it, they'll look in the direction, but they won't really move from their position when you need them to. So it kind of makes it a pointless feature. Another thing that would have been nice if they added is that there are many different types of Nazis with different ranks, and you can knock them out no matter what rank they are and steal their uniform. The problem is that this becomes irrelevant. What I mean by that is you would only logically think that if I steal a grunt's uniform, that fellow grunts and higher ranking Nazis will notice that I'm not an actual Nazi, that I'm an imposter. But you would think that a grunt wouldn't look at a superior that hard because of, well, they're superior. They're someone that they wouldn't stare too much at because they'll be afraid of being reprimanded. But if you steal a higher ranking member's uniform, it gives you no added bonuses. And that sucks because it's actually harder to knock them out than any other guard in the game. So you would think you'll be rewarded for it, but you're just not. If they would have actually rewarded the player by making it harder for you to be spotted if you're wearing a higher ranking member's uniform, that would have been cool and added a extra layer to the stealth gameplay that was actually needed. But don't worry, if stealth doesn't work in this game, you can always just go out and shoot everybody that you see. Now, guns in this game feel very powerful, which makes sense because of the era the game takes place in. I can't think of any other open world game that has an MP40 and you can gun down Nazis like it's Call of Duty World at War. It's just a unique experience that I don't know any other game but the Saboteur has. Now, shooting this game feels just like Uncharted 2, which only dropped a few months beforehand. Shine feels very smooth to control, almost like butter. And that's a good thing because this game tried a very experimental mechanic that a lot of developers attempted back in the 7th gen, but a lot didn't get right, and that's the automatic cover system. Unlike most games with a cover system where you walk up to a wall and press a button and then your character will latch to it, Sean just does it automatically. If you walk near a wall, he'll lean against it. If you get near something that's knee high, he'll crouch below it. Gears of War was one of the most popular games during this generation. And if you had a third-person shooter in your hands, you basically needed a cover system. Any developer that was playing around with this automatic cover system was really rolling the dice because, like I said, a lot of times it didn't work. And second of all, it just really wasn't needed. It sounds cool on paper, but no one was sitting there saying, man, I really wish I didn't have to press the A button in order to get in the cover. But I got to give it to him. The Saboteur actually makes this system work, I'm going to say perfectly. There was never a time that I wanted to get into cover and I couldn't, or there was never a time I wanted to get out of cover and I couldn't, or there was never a time that I wasn't trying to get into cover and then I was forced into cover. It just never happened. It always did what I wanted to do, and for that I got to say I'm impressed because I don't even think games even try that anymore. And this one game that a lot of people just ignored actually did it right, and they did it in an open world too. Now, there's also melee combat in this game, and to nobody's surprise, if you've been keeping up with this review, it feels just like Naughty Dog's Uncharted's combat. It works for the most part, but there is an issue I have that you have to lock on to punch people in this game. Now, you can gun butt if you have a gun out, but if you have no weapons out, you have to lock on to punch people. And there's been a few times where I ran in front of a Nazi and I needed to just quickly punch him, and I forgot that, and I'm just getting attacked. So I wouldn't rely on melee combat when you're panicking. Now, we talked about the stealth combat and the gunplay in this game, and one thing that's cool is that most missions don't lock you into either or. You can do whatever you want in this game, which adds a level of player choice that a lot of open world games have thrown in the trash ever since maybe the 7th generation came about. Open world games now are so strict that if you even take a few steps out of the mission objective, they'll fail you. The Saboteur doesn't work this way. The Saboteur may give you a suggestion, and maybe there's a mission or two that requires you to do something a certain way, but honestly, I can't even remember any mission making you having to do anything. If you want to go in stealth, go in stealth. You want to go in guns blazing, that's your business. It's all up to you. All of these systems feed into the addictive loop of being a saboteur. Sneaking around a base to set up a bomb, then shoot your way out after the big kaboom. Only to find yourself driving off with the Nazis on your bumper, but you can't seem to shake them off. So you have a few options. You could try to get out your car and find a hideaway spot, or you could do what I like to do, which is to drive into an ambush set up by the French resistance and have a full-out gun battle fighting them off completely. Again, call the Saboteur a generic GTA clone all you want, but I can't think of any other GTA clone with this much freedom. I can't even think of another Grand Theft Auto game with this much freedom. It runs through the whole game, all these little micro decisions. It makes me question why people found this game so repetitive back then, because you can do what you want to do. So if the game was repetitive, it sounds like those people were just boring and playing the game in a way that was annoying to them. And while we're speaking about player choice, you're actually rewarded with perks in this game based upon the way you played, giving the game a slight RPG feel and also feeding back into the idea that the player is in control. You could do what you want and you're rewarded for it. Now, to be fair, when people say that the Saboteur is repetitive, they may be talking about how the overall gameplay, the day-to-day gameplay, is basically you just blowing things up, things explode, you're fighting off Nazis, and that's basically it. Now, you have the choice, like I said, to play it how you want to, but a lot of people may not be creative enough to do what they feel like doing. They're just going to do what's practical to them. But then you have the main missions and the side missions. See, these have a lot of set pieces that complement the day-to-day typical just run into a base and kill everybody and blow everything up missions. The best example of this is probably my favorite mission in the game, which is the train mission. The mission starts with you setting up bombs on a bridge, and of course you have the option to do this quietly or loud. Then you have to hurry up and get to the train yard to catch the train. And once again, you can either try to sneak on the train quietly or just force your way onto the train. Keep in mind, all of this is happening in real time in the open world environment. You shoot everyone on the train, and what feels like an army of Nazis is trying to gun you down on your route. You're shooting guys on the train, outside the train, there's things blowing up, and remember, the train is moving in the open world. After you grab your target, you hurry up and get off the train before it hits the bridge and blows up. And after every major blow to the Nazis in this game, color is restored to the world. Not only is this one of, if not the best mission in the game, but I thought blowing up this bridge was exclusive to this mission. But no, it's not. After you blow this bridge up, you unlock the ability to just blow up bridges in this game. So anytime you want to in the open world, you could drive underneath a bridge, plant bombs, and blow them up. I really love that Pandemic Studios just knew, look, we're making a game about blowing stuff up. This is the premise of the game. This is what it's all about. This is what you're going to do. And they kept upping the ante as you go along. You're blowing up more impressive things as you play the game, and it just gets cooler and cooler every time. The game also grows with you, unlike most crime-based open world games. The Nazis get tougher. They bring out super soldiers and experimental weaponry, and each new region has a greater number of Nazis, so when you set off an alarm, you got more than the fight than you did in the first part of the map. Fighting the Nazis is so fun in this game that it reminded me, one of the cool things about GTA back in the day was getting your wanted level up and just goofing around with the AI. It's been years since I ever wanted to do that in a GTA game. But the Saboteur actually pulled that out of me, because these guys don't play. The harder you go against the Nazis, the more powerful Nazis they send at you. They'll even send guys at you with vehicles with machine guns on the vehicles. These cars are fast as I don't know what. Tanks are coming out. It gets really crazy because they remembered to keep the tension high. A lot of these modern open world crime games, you get to a point where you could just outdrive everybody, or you can go to a pan spray and get it wiped away. This game, no, there are times where even if you find a place to hide, the slightest mistake, they're back on your case. You have to know what you're doing, and it's fun just trying to get away from them. Now, don't let all the explosions and excitement fool you. The story and the world of the Saboteur is serious, and it handles the atrocities of war very well, while also telling an entertaining story. Every character you meet has their own reason to fight against the Nazis, while some people are benefiting by taking other people's suffering and turning that into a profit.
Those supply trucks shan't trouble you again.
All is fair in business as well as war, no? To be honest, sometimes I cannot tell the difference.
Our main character, Sean, is motivated by guilt and revenge. He may be the most capable man in the Resistance, but he is here for his own selfish reasons and nothing more. Sean has a standoffish demeanor, but he does have enough charisma to make him a likable character. He just has a fair amount of flaws that make him feel human. Well, maybe not completely human, because he basically single-handedly takes out the entire Nazi army in Paris. The supporting cast compliments Sean by expressing emotions that he's too stubborn to let out himself. The war is changing everyone, and this game isn't afraid to get a bit dark to show it to you. There's a priest in this game that asks Sean to do a few missions for him. A guy has been confessing his sins to the priest because he's been sending people off to their death to the Nazis. The priest decides to take action in his own hands and asks Sean to assassinate him. And it doesn't stop there either, as the priest asks Sean to kill more and more and more people. It even gets to the point where Sean himself, who has no problem getting his hands dirty, feels like the priest shouldn't be doing this because he's a man of God, and he's doing something wrong based upon his faith. The priest's storyline ends once he's asked Sean to take out a Nazi during a wedding, and if you don't hurry up and do it, the priest himself will whip out his gun and start firing. He tells you to escape on your own, and you never see him again in the game, so it appears that he died, and I just thought that that mission was very interesting. I really like how this mission made me think as a man of God. Was he doing the right thing by fighting off the Nazis, or was he just taking vengeance in his own hands? It seemed like at one point he was just trying to defend the people that he loved and cared about, But then it flipped on him and he started to just take vengeance in his own hands and he wasn't really controlling himself anymore. Veronique, instead of Veronica because she's French, is one of Sean's love interests and Jules' sister. She goes from being saddened by the loss of her brother to falling in love with Luke and his cause. Now, how they developed her was really cool to me. At one point in the game, you get attacked by the Nazis and her and Luke end up separated, but she ends up getting captured. Sean wants to rescue her, but Luke says that they don't have enough manpower to send anyone else out. And they technically can't send Sean out either as they need him for a crucial part of their mission against the Nazis. Sean, of course, doesn't listen and goes after her. He saves Veronique, but she doesn't care as much as you think she would. This war has changed her. She was not only prepared to die, but she also respected Luke's decision. She knew the resistance was low on manpower and could not risk coming after her, and she was perfectly fine with that. Later on in the game, her parents are killed by the Nazis. And it's not that she doesn't care, it's just it doesn't affect her anymore because she's fighting for a greater cause. In her mind, she's just one of many victims to the Nazis. Everyone she's met in the resistance has lost somebody. So she develops this type of numbness that comes from just being accustomed to seeing so many people she cares about dying next to her. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Luke gets pinned by some stones and asks Sean to kill him before the Nazis come and get him. Despite Sean killing thousands of people by now, he can't seem to take out Luke. But Veronique, without any hesitation, without any emotion, pulls the trigger.
I can't do this.
Compassion is a luxury we can no longer afford. The enemy we face has none.
It almost comes off robotic in her explanation. She's been completely changed by this war. And that upbeat woman from the beginning of the game is just gone now. And what's left is someone completely colder. The only person that doesn't change because of this war is Skylar, who is another love interest of Sean. She comes in as a suspicious character. Sean is familiar with her and they've had their fair share of relations, but there are moments in the game that make you think that she's going to betray you eventually. But she never does. In fact, she stays loyal to Sean and their cause throughout the entire game, which I really much appreciated. This game is really good at taking you down a path where you could easily assume something's going to happen based upon common tropes that you find in writing and film, but they decide to go down a logical path that makes just as much sense if they did take the trope route. But because they don't, this story actually has more exciting moments than you would expect because it plays with your expectations in a way that respects the player and not just come across as something stupid or dumb. They took the story serious enough in this game. They even gave a reason for why the world looks gray and why the world gains color once you kill off enough Nazis. This mechanic isn't just some cool visual trick, but it's a reflection of Sean's pain as the world turned gray from him witnessing the death of Jules. Now, this can be easily forgotten as you play through the game that this is the reason why the world looks gray, but I love the fact that they actually made this a part of the story and not just some cool mechanic, because it could have just been a cool mechanic because the game looks awesome with this black and white filter around it, but the fact that it actually goes into the psyche of the main character, it just adds that extra bit of oomph to the overall experience, knowing that in a way that these things that Sean is doing is sort of like therapy for him in a really messed up way because he's still killing people, but that's what they were going for here. And if you keep this in mind while you play the game, anytime Sean is being witty or charismatic, you just got to remember this, that as long as the world is gray in Sean's eyes, he's still depressed. He's still saddened. And when you see color pop up, you know that he feels at least somewhat better. So it's kind of interesting. It almost feels like this game is like, this is like the video game version of a rage room. Like you just go in and smash stuff up, which makes sense. This game is about blowing stuff up and the villains are definitely villains. So you're going to feel like you're not doing anything wrong fighting these guys. So it's almost like the perfect setup for anyone that plays games to let off steam. I don't do that, but some people do, and the Saboteur will scratch that itch. And the funny thing is, it's kind of scratching the itch of the main character too. Now, the best part is the ending. Kurt, the main Nazi that you've been rivaling throughout the game, he's written like any other Nazi in media. He's untrustworthy and overconfident.
Night is young, Fräulein. Stay. Dine with me.
I've no taste for German cuisine.
Not yet, perhaps. But soon, the women of your country will learn to savor the taste of a purebred German bratwurst. Bastard!
But what I really like about the finale of this game is how Pandemic Studios handled it. They don't give you the stereotypical big shootout with the antagonist. Instead, they go for something just, I'm surprised. I've never seen a game do something like this. And again, this is a game that a lot of people ignore. You could argue it's a hidden gem. And I just never seen something like this before. So the last mission, you go up to the Eiffel Tower thinking you're going to fight Kurt in a big shootout. But as you approach it, you'll notice that something is wrong. You'll start seeing people fall from the tower. And, you might just think, okay, maybe there's some fighting going on up there. Who knows? But as you go up, you'll notice there's no music playing. You're taking an elevator. You're seeing Paris all around the tower on fire. There's a war going on. And as you get inside, you'll notice that you'll see a lot of Nazis dead, a lot of civilians dead, and they're dead in these odd and unusual ways. You'll even catch some Nazis trying to self-delete themselves. And people are in there drunk, they're dead, and it just looks crazy. Everyone's going mad. Everyone is going crazy in here, and they're so out of it, they're not even trying to hurt Sean. And this is one of those moments in games where, yes, you as the player could still kill all the people in here, but instead I didn't feel I needed to do that. I didn't feel I need to do anything because it seemed like they were doing it to themselves. It's like the war finally caught up to them. So you get to the top and you see Kurt, and he just killed one of his fellow soldiers, and you get to see what this war did to him. At first, Kurt comes off sadistic with no redeeming qualities, but in the end, his final speech gave a different perspective as you watch him come to terms with his choices.
This just isn't your day.
You was the only one who ever escaped. It is fitting that you should be the one.
I won't argue with that.
One day, history will thank us for what we have done. Holding back the mongrel hordes while you people cowered in our shadow. You could never understand the burden of my duty.
Killing you could never make up for what I've lost. My friends will still be dead, and I'll still have to live with the things I've done.
Is that why you're here? Did you think that by killing me, you could wash the blood from your own hands? That's tragic. We are going to hell, aren't we, Irishman?
Despite a few issues with the stealth gameplay and the occasional bug, the Saboteur was an amazing game, and it's kind of sad but cool that this was Pandemic's last game. I think the Saboteur just came out at a bad time where so many people were biased for the bigger titles that anyone doing anything similar instantly got the short end of the stick. And it's crazy because nowadays games are borrowing from each other all the time with sometimes little to no standout differences, and people are just fine with that today. But you look at something like the Saboteur where, yes, it was inspired by different games of its era, but it had its own uniqueness to it. It had its own flair. It did its own thing while borrowing, and it just wasn't appreciated. But I can say now that the Saboteur is a good game. Maybe even a great game. It had a good story, good gameplay, a few issues here or there I wish they fleshed out with the stealth system. Good visuals, and overall just a fun experience, and it's not that long of a game, and there's tons of things to do after you beat the game. So if you want to, you could play the game even after the credits roll and just have a blast, both literally and figuratively, because you're going to be blowing a lot of stuff up in the post game. So if you want a good time, you can't go wrong with the Saboteur. You can find the game easily on GOG and Steam, often on sale, and it's a game I think you guys should really try. Thank you all once again for watching my review of the Saboteur. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that hype button. I'm showing you where that is right now on the screen. You may have to go on mobile to actually see it. Once again, I'm grateful for Jehovah God and Jesus Christ for bringing each and every one of you to my channel, because you could be watching or doing anything right now, but you guys found little on me, and I know it's because of them. And I'm thankful for each and every one of you for stopping by. The Saboteur, man, great game. I had a good time playing it. I could see myself jumping back on it from time to time, just running through it, because it's not a long game. And it's something I think people should play. I will definitely say it's a hidden gem. I'm going to give it the hidden category because it's not something most people talk about. But I hope you guys give the game a chance. Once again, thanks for stopping by. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
We are going to hell, aren't we, Irishman?
Maybe. But you'll get there before me.